Hey there, and welcome to today's bite-sized sales class. And what I want to talk about today is how to significantly increase the size of your addressable market. I'm talking about 10 times, if that's a real word, the size of your addressable market. And think about it, if you can do that and you have a specific percentage share of your addressable market and you increase that market tenfold, then you're going to have a much greater revenue opportunity available to you and your business. Now, this subject came about from a video I shot last week when I was talking about how people buy, which you can still see here on the board behind me. And if you haven't seen that video and you want to kind of catch up, then I'll put some links in the description below where you can find me on all the usual social platforms, and then you'll be able to kind of go back and watch that. But this, as I said, the subject today came from some questions and conversation that I had with people online about this whole buying process. Now, just in case you don't know me and you haven't joined me before, my name is Brian Conway from achievesuccess.co.uk. And if you want to go to that website, you'll find lots of free resources that will help you with generating additional revenue, because that's basically what I do. I help companies grow their top line. Now, back to the point, how do we increase the addressable market size? And it's really quick and really easy to do. You see, this buying process, again, I appreciate you may not have watched the previous video, but very briefly, we said that people go through a process, particularly 4 stages when they're buying something. They identify they have a problem. They then look for solutions to that problem. They will then look for a product or service that will deliver that solution, and then quite often look for a supplier of that product or service. And most of us are engaging at this point in the sales process, where we're being reactive. We're getting companies or potential customers, prospects, reaching out to us to ask us about our product or service in line with helping them solve the problem that they're experiencing. Now, what we talked about last week was the earlier we can engage, granted, the more we can influence that decision in our favor. But the point being I want to make in this is that at any given time, people say that there's only about I'm going to top end, 10%, 5 to 10% of your addressable market is typically actively looking for a product or service that you offer. So that means that 90% is over here going through these earlier stages of the buying process. So one of the things we can do to address the full, so take it from just 10% to 100%, 10 times the size of a market, is to start engaging earlier with our customers. And how do we do that? That is through your marketing, your outreach, your lead generation, or your outbound, any kind of outbound activity that you may have with prospective marketplace. If you can engage earlier, you can, as I said, in previous videos, kind of influence this indecision. You can eliminate some of the competitive threat that you may experience through that buying process. So you've got to have much more effective marketing. You've got to get people at this point onto some kind of list, I would call it, but capture their details somehow so that you can provide them with value. I call this the Trinity, Trinity of Trust. I have kind of 3 things that you can do to start to develop a relationship, to educate the customer on how to solve this problem, but with your solution, your product or service, and then ideally that will significantly increase your conversion potential at this point here. But you've now got a much greater market to go at. So rather than be reactive here, be much more proactive. Things like this video, I shoot these for a number of reasons. One, I just want to provide value to the marketplace. I want to help businesses increase their revenue and sales capabilities. But I do it partly because people will watch these videos, they will use the skills themselves, they provide testimonials from the application of those things, but that also means I end up getting referrals or people reaching out to me, asking me if I can engage with their business to help them transform their top line. So I'm educating the market on the things and the options and the services that are out there with regards to helping them achieve their outcome of growing revenue. But I'm building brand, I'm creating awareness, I'm building credibility, and people buy from people they know, like, and trust. I'm sure you've heard that expression. So people through this process get to know me. Hopefully most of you get to like me, but more importantly, trust the fact that I do know what I'm talking about. I've had nearly 25 years now working proactively in the technology sector, well 40 years in the technology sector, but 25 in a sales role, and working with some of the biggest brands like Google and Cisco and Lenovo and Dell and you name them, I will probably work with them. So I understand what works, what doesn't, and what can help grow companies' revenue the fastest. But one of the things is you can increase, as I said, you've got a addressable market and you have a percentage of it. You can't really see that, I don't think, on the video, but you get the idea. If you've got an addressable market this side and you've got 5% of it, and now you've got an addressable market this big and you've got 5% of it, you've got a lot more money. So I hope that helps. My name is Brian Conway from achievesuccess.co.uk. Please do leave a comment, share, and all that sort of good stuff. I'd appreciate it. And as I said, I'll put some links below this video of where you can go and see previous content and subscribe or follow me on there so that you can get notified of any additional content as and when I release it. That's all for me. Please think about that. Think about your marketing activities and how you could increase that engagement with your addressable market to make sure that you are the supplier or provider of choice that they ultimately choose when they do get into that final part of their decision-making process. Take care. Happy selling. Bye-bye.